Educating, informing, serving. Fact TV, keeping government honest.
So I call the meeting to order at 6:19 on February 7th, 2022 at the Town Hall upstairs. A motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
So,
Second? Any discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
aye.
Opposed? Okay, we're ready to go. We have the minutes of January 18th and the 24th. Is there any additions or corrections to those minutes?
Which one are you on? I'm sorry.
Oh, well, let's do the 18th first. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes of the 18th on Monday? Which was upstairs here. If not, motion to accept the minutes as presented.
So moved. Second.
Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
No opposed? Okay. And 18th is passed. Now, the next minutes of the January 24th, which was a special select board meeting up here. Are there any additions or corrections to those minutes? If there are none, please somebody make a motion to accept the minutes of January 24th as presented.
So moved.
Somebody second? Okay. Any discussion? If not, all in favor? Say aye. Opposed? Alrighty. Danny, I guess you're on for the highway report.
Sure. So I had Bill put on a discussion about hiring the school parking lot. I don't think we can fill the needs of what the school is looking for service in their parking lot. And I felt for a long time that the school should reflect in their budget the cost of maintaining it. We've had 2 calls this year about needing more salt at times, and we're not, if we're out sanding or headed sanding, we can't just skip down to do that. We don't do the sidewalks and everything, and I think that's what they're looking more toward is more of the parking lot and the sidewalk and stuff. So I think it's time that the school hires to have the whole board as part of it now. I think they should hire a contractor to be done solely by a contractor.
Yes. You have a comment? The microphone doesn't seem to work. Hang on a second.
Angela.
Yes.
Like that.
Is this the principal?
Speak about what the does.
Excuse me, it's Jack, and he's completely unreadable. He needs to either get another connection or whatever. We're hardwired, so it isn't us. Jack, you're not readable at all.
We're having a tough time listening to you, Jack.
Nothing.
Maybe you could call back with a phone connection, that's usually the option.
You can call on my cell phone if you want.
Jack, I don't know what the issue is, but we can't hear you at all.
Would the board like for me to give him a cell phone number so he can call back and?
Yeah, but he's not gonna be recorded and then what, so.
No, that's
No,
not good.
he's got to reconnect. Jack, you need to reconnect.
He'll be recorded because we'll be able to hear him. I mean, we'll be able to hear him and we'll talk, so he'll be on the.
To that extent, we might, yeah.
Okay, give his phone.
I mean, he's got his phone now.
Technology, yeah.
I'm about to give my cell phone number to the
What?
public.
You get a lot of crank calls.
I don't know what number he's gonna call. Maybe you should call him, Suzanne.
Okay. We'll have to have his number.
He uses my phone, I don't know his number, but. Yeah, Jack, what do you need from us?
I need, can I call you?
Now, call Suzanne's number.
Jack, keep, whatever you're doing, keep talking, maybe we can hear you now.
My number is 802-843-2735.
2735.
843. 735, yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's good sign language. It should be ringing, Jack. You'll have to turn off your other.
Need the laptop.
Turn off the computer. I'm gonna try to turn.
Okay, well, I don't know what all that was. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
You can.
Okay, my apologies. I have no idea why that.
Can everybody hear? Good suggestion there.
Set it right there. Set it right there. That's the microphone.
Okay. Yeah, you may have, maybe come in the speaker for a minute.
You are on speaker.
Go ahead. Jack?
Jack?
You might have to move on,
I don't know what happened.
Look, maybe, I'll make suggestions, since we're having these difficulties. We've been plowing the school for how long now? For years? If we continue for another, till the next meeting?
That isn't, until the next meeting, yeah.
To the next meeting when maybe Jack and.
I think Angela.
Angela, can you hear?
You want me to try and give this a shot? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes?
Okay. Hi, everyone. I don't think I've met everybody in that room. I'm Angela Carty. I'm the principal at Grafton. So, I think we've just had a lot of ice. And so I think that's the reason that, I didn't know that there was another time, but maybe, somebody else from the school called. And I am aware that IBOR takes care of our sidewalks and such, but it's been a little bit confusing this winter to know like who's taking care of what and when and who to call. So the first thing I did, because I could tell that the garage had come through and done a little swoop, is I was just sort of like saying, could you just come back out real quick? Not really realizing that that wasn't an option. And so then I met with Ivor Stevens in the afternoon the other day, on Thursday. And so we are going to move forward with having him fully sand the whole lot. So if that's something that we should start doing right away, we can do that. Or if we want to finish out the winter sort of together, it's really fine either way. I just want to make sure that it's safe. So I apologize if for some reason I overstepped by calling. I did not mean to do that. I just wanted to make sure it was safe because somebody had already fallen. So you tell me what the best next step would be.
Well, how does the board feel?
Can I speak to this?
Sure.
for a second? The only thing I could worry about is liability. Because I don't know if Bassett knows we're plowing and accepting some sort of liability for a slip and fall on that parking lot. If that is the case, I would, and since our lease says we have nothing to do with anything going on up there, my recommendation, as part of my job description to you guys, is don't plow. Don't do anything at all, because if you do, you're accepting some sort of liability. If you're not there, there is no liability. Or the school indemnifies you, one or the other, but you are opening yourself up to liability. When our lease says, we do nothing, and you're going on and plowing, you're accepting liability. That's my only suggestion.
Sounds reasonable to me.
Yeah. Is that gonna be a problem, Angela?
No, that's not going to be a problem. I can work it out with the board. I know that our budget is done, and this is obviously going to impact us financially having to do that. But I think that that's fine, as long as that's the understanding. I just want to make sure that I understand, so I don't call the wrong person. That's all.
So what are we exactly asking Angela to do? To have Ivor take over all of the plowing of the driveway and the sidewalks?
Yes,
Or
that's what we're asking.
Or whoever they hire?
Whoever they hire.
Yeah.
That they take on full responsibility and the town does not do it anymore.
And that's essentially what you're recommending, Danny?
It's been confusing. Sometimes I show up and Ivor's done it. We try to get to the school, before school early, and then we move on to doing our dirt road. She called the other morning just as we were starting to sand the dirt. So, we could have put sand on it, or just asked for salt. It's hard to just switch over and come back, but it's confusing who's doing what. And it is the school's area, and to me, it feels like it should be the school showing the cost of it, not the highway paying to do the schoolyard, like they have for, I don't know how many years, it's been over 17 years.
Yeah, and I think the liability issue is worrisome for me. So if that's okay.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I totally agree. It's been a little bit confusing. So, because it's like my next step was to call it. So it was just, so we'll just do that immediately. The garage isn't going to come by, and I'll have.
Well, do you need a day or so to work this out, Danny? I don't know.
It's whatever. You got the snow tonight, we can
get
it like we always have tomorrow morning again, and so until you get a hold of Ivor, so you don't end up with a complete icy yard tomorrow morning.
Yeah,
Amber Stevens is on.
Yeah, I think I can touch base with Ivor before tomorrow morning. So we can just, that's fine.
Do you want to ask a question of Amber?
well, is Amber on? Yeah.
Yeah.
Amber?
Yeah.
Amber?
Oh, she's leaving.
Oh. Somebody.
Wait a minute, she's coming back, wait a second.
Amber or offhand?
Amber, Ivor,
There she is. Sorry.
So, Amber, are you guys okay to take over the school starting tomorrow morning?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay. All right.
Thank you, Amber.
Okay, appreciate that. Are we all set? Board have any other questions of Angela or? Okay, well, thank you, Angela. I'm sorry for all this confusion, but we
No
appreciate
worries.
it.
Okay, thank
Okay.
you. Have a good night.
Thank you. Okay. Danny, what else you have?
The FEMA meeting we didn't do today. There's no update, so.
Okay.
And the other two employees at the highway garage would like to meet with the personnel committee to go over the job descriptions. So I'm just passing the message on. If you guys want to, if one of you want to call a shop and set up that appointment, that would be great. Tomorrow we'll be dealing with whatever storm we have tonight. And that's what we've been doing in the past. We haven't got much of anything else. Had Bill send out a bunch of letters for landowners on Stagecoach Road. So we start cutting trees out there along the edge of the road where we need to dig it back and get ditches done. And probably Wednesday, we're starting cutting brush on Fisher Hill.
I like the letter, Kenny, it's really professional, and I think it solves a lot of problems. And the letters go out like
I
that.
just gave Bill the,
No, I know, I told Bill, and I sent you an email, and I said, it's more, it looks much more professional.
we don't send them out when we're just going out to cut brush, but on the stage road, I mean, we're actually cutting trees
Right.
that are right along the edge, and the banks need to be sloped back out to there and the further end. So we've been trying to do that.
Okay.
Dan, I know you've had problems with, snow being plowed on the road over this, but I was just happened to be around a couple of roads this last storm, and I see 3 more.
There's been a lot. I don't know if we can have something put in, the Grafton newsletter. We sand in this storm. A lot of people waited till Saturday or Sunday to plow, and some of them left pretty good messes in the road.
Yeah, well, one of them on the back street was shoveling the snow blower.
Yeah.
And Pollard Road, it's right across the road, lit the bird, and up to Jimmy Wilson's airport, there's a bird, you hop right over it.
Yeah. I don't know if we can just put something back in, the paper for that. Some of the driveways, I do know who plows them, and I probably would be talking to them, but I don't know on all of them. But if it's in the paper, it's good.
Yeah, we'll put it in the Grafton news. And if you know who they are, Danny, you can connect them in.
Yeah,
And if you have anything, just tell Bill, and we'll send a letter to the landowner,
yeah.
so that they fully understand.
It's been pretty good this winter. Most people, some places, they always have plowed across, but they clean the road up. This time, it looked like a lot of them were in a hurry. And they come out of one driveway to the next, and it left a pretty good winter over.
So you wouldn't have such a problem, except that it froze.
Yes.
Concrete.
Well, that's how you do it down the city. There's a lot of plowing all over the
This
place.
is not the city.
Yeah, right, and sure.
I will say that last one was, for the amount of snow and rain that we got out of it, it was a lot of hours chasing that whole thing.
Sure
That
was.
We still have a mess down on the Athens town line, the water's coming off the lawn. That, we've been salting it, but I hesitate about going down there and trying to peel the ice off it. We have a brand new blacktop, so we've been trying to salt it and deal with that, but there's a lot of rain, melt going on too.
Thanks for all that, Dan.
Anything else, Danny?
So just wondered that if any other member of the board has concerns about work that needs to get done by the highway department, it's a good time to bring it up.
About the weather?
Up the water?
Work that needs to get done by the highway department, this would be a good time to bring it up. If there's any other concerns?
Don't have any.
Okay.
Okay?
What are you saying about Athens town and Grafton town line? Is
Yeah.
that from a drain blocked or?
It's not from a drain, it's just, so much rain, and I've never noticed it there like that so much. It could be from the paving when they swept the shoulders that it's collected a little bit. This summer, once, frost is gone, we'll be looking at it and probably end up ditching across that lawn more.
Is that from across from Robinson? You're
Yes.
talking about?
Yeah. It's along, Atlas property. I don't ever remember doing it quite like that, but there's not much that we can do this winter with it until, all we do is treat the road.
Okay.
And now, now that the water's drained off and it stopped raining, it should take clear itself up. But there will be something this summer that we'll have to address, prevent the next winter.
Okay. Kim, do you have anything?
Just a reminder that February 15th is the third tax payment due. I should have ballots in my office by Thursday. Anyone that wants absentee ballot, just give me a call or stop in and you can request, you can take the ballots with you, or you can vote right in the office. So that's called early absentee voting. I have town reports available. Anybody that wants to stop in the office, I've been also trying to put them out on the porch so they don't have to actually come in the office if they choose not to. Other than that, that's pretty much it.
Okay. The next item is town meeting. Since we're dealing the same as we did last year with a, not an in-person town meeting, I believe, what we did, we have a pre-town meeting, and we parceled out certain articles that each select person would be able to deal if there's any questions that come about. Would you like to do that again this year, or how would you like to handle that?
Joe, would you just refresh our memory? Is it only select board members who speak to the articles, or would Kim and some of them, specifically the ones having to do with?
It would be the select persons to speak to their articles, fire, anything else would be their responsibility, and obviously, any of the humanitarian, we would only deal with our part of the budget. And Kim could, if there was a question on, probably on the one about the surplus, Kim, you might have to come and help with that, but other than that, yeah. So, I don't know how you want to handle that. I mean, I don't know how many people are going to be at the pre-town meeting. There wasn't anybody last year that I know of.
Well, I think it's been brought up if someone can chime in.
Yeah, but I mean, do you want to just let somebody just raise their hand and ask the question, or do we want to dedicate it? It's up to the board, how you want to handle it.
Are the people, who, let's say, for the Article 7 for the Fighters Association, they're aware that they would need to be present to speak at the pre-town meeting?
Well, they should be aware, but we can certainly have, we can certainly get an email to tell them that they need to be prepared for the pre-town meeting, yeah.
If they want to address.
Yeah, if they want it. If they don't want it, that's their problem.
Right,
Yeah.
but I'm talking about a notice, an
Yeah.
email that would just notify them that that they would have the opportunity to speak to their article at the
Right.
pre-town meeting.
I'd be surprised if they, I mean, I always did it, I'd be surprised if they don't know, but
Yeah.
I'm really not sure. They don't talk to me no more.
So that would just be a notice to the Firefighters Association and the rescue squad.
So on my understanding, then we'll just kind of, we'll all be here, and if the questions come up, then somebody will just address it and go from there. Okay? All right. We'll move on now. Committee reports. John, there's just nothing on the cemetery. He had never gotten back to us. So that's kind of sits there for the winter. John and I do have to meet and to work on the proposal, a job description, if you want to call it, for the sexton. And Kim was going to look for something, and Bill was going to talk to VLCT and see if there's anything there that we can use as a model. So we'll be working on that through the winter. Highway? Anything?
You haven't been in contact with Carolyn or anything?
Yes, I have. The right-of-way team are on schedule to complete the right-of-way plans by February 9th. And once they do that, the plans will be sent to the negotiators for them to start working up their offers. I'm going to have a follow-up meeting, and John, you'd be most welcome to attend, with Carolyn on February 15th. And she'll inform us with additional information at that time.
Yeah, the last one you had, I couldn't get on because of the computer stuff.
We'll make sure that, try to work around that this time.
Okay, Parks Committee, the logging, they're doing a great job. If anybody's been up there, I was up there today. They're very neat, so I think it's going to come out really nice, so.
Communication with Tim has been excellent too, hasn't it?
With who?
With Tim.
Yes.
There's nothing on the grant. I know nothing about the grant, so I don't know. No one has.
Nobody has anything, I don't know, I haven't said anything, so. Okay. The personnel policy, we have the revisions here that were presented, and there's actually two kinds of things here to read them. So how do you want to proceed?
Yeah, I'll go over what we put together. We were surprised to see your other proposal somewhat different. We had a lengthy meeting a couple weeks ago, the board, and we tried to capture, what was discussed to put in a more specific and clearer, adaptation for vacation and comp time. And we did that so it was clearer and more understandable. And I understand from Joe, you had some comments about the select board being the supervisor. I understand it's a little murky how that would come about. But it's really falls to the foreman is the supervisor for his crew. And, Bill does, provide us with when he takes time off. As far as the comp time, we're not suggesting or taking anything away other than making it more specific that when persons take time off or a vacation, that it's not going to impede their work or a project that they're working on. And that way, two people take time off at the same time, because it leaves one person, and that's not a safe situation. So do you want to add anything to what I've just said?
Yeah, sure, Kathy, although I think you summed it up. The only additional point I would make is that, as Kathy said, we added the details and the specifics to get all the expectations out in the open for vacation time and comp time. And we feel that this makes the accountability for gaining approval for use of comp time and vacation clearer. And that's why we went into the detail that we went into. It's obviously an impractical situation for 5 select board members to approve the use of comp time or vacation time for the 2 employees who are supervised by the select board. But I think it was the sense of our discussion and of Kathy and my rationale for putting these adjustments together, that there is a difference between informing the select board about vacation and comp time that an employee is going to take and gaining approval for comp time and vacation time that employees are going to take. And we feel that this should be an even-handed application of the policy. And so therefore, all 5 of our employees should be asked to gain approval for vacation and comp time use, because otherwise they cannot be held accountable in a retrospective way. May I finish, please, Bill?
There aren't 5 employees.
The 5 employees that we've been working with.
You don't have 5 employees.
We have Bill, Danny, and, oh, we have 4 employees. Mike and thank you, Dave. That because Mike and Dave will be held accountable to get approval from Danny, that Bill and Danny should be held accountable to get approval somehow from the select board. And we think that we could work out a process where that would be easy to do, and that it would be worth it. to change the dynamic from informing to approval.
Treat it much more like how you treat vacation.
Right.
Once again, I'll say it, I'm confused about all this stuff, and I said that with the email.
Well, the problem is, it's like when you use the word approved, that means you have to have a meeting and you have to have a vote. And it's inconceivable to me that you can have a vote and meet every time somebody's had one comp time. It's absolutely absurd. And I think in the spirit of it, I understand the concept, and I understand what the personnel committee wants to do. They want to make the policy so that it's clear, and I commend them that, and it should be. But I also think that you have to have some trust in your employees as well, and you can't micromanage them to the point where they have to turn around and do everything that's informing a very little thing they do. I mean, obviously, Danny wouldn't be going on his vacation when they were going to put a culvert in, a major culvert. I mean, that's common sense. And the same thing with Bill. I mean, he wouldn't go on his vacation during town meeting. I mean, unless there was an emergency, somebody dies or something of that nature. But I mean, I think you have to understand, we haven't had a problem with the taking of the vacations and the comp time. The problem is the comp time is perhaps not regulated. We didn't have a calendar. We didn't have a procedure, which we do now. But I think the language that was, the original language was proposed, it's too confusing, and to me, it's more of a micromanagement. And I tried to make it easier by taking the concept and making it different. But that's my.
So Joe, when you say we haven't had a problem, and that we're trying to solve a problem that we don't have.
Took the word right out of my mouth.
Thank you, Rich. No, I was just saying it's pretty obvious that we have discussed problems in the public meetings.
Well,
And we took
I
one
understood that.
full, may I please finish? We took 1 full hour in the executive session at our last meeting to discuss. And that's all I was going to say, Rich, so you go right ahead.
If there is no problem, then we owe our town crew an apology, because we brought up a lot of stuff that,
I didn't say, Rich, there was not a problem.
okay.
There was a problem with comp time, there was a problem with scheduling, there was a problem, but I'm saying we didn't have the problem with the administrator in his taking time in other words, we did have the issues, and we have to correct those issues, and we need to correct those issues. We never had a schedule, comp time was never, the select board was never informed of anything, so we didn't know who was on vacation, who was on comp time. Those problems we had, and those problems need to be fixed.
So that's good. So by one of the emails I saw, I said, with your job descriptions of the problems that were discussed, like, so I've been around here for 10 minutes. I leave my driveway, I can tell you my road's plowed, it's sanded. That's about all I know about the town crew, up until 4 weeks ago or whatever. So the problems that people have had previously, are they being alleviated by the job descriptions that are up there now, proposed? And are we heading in the right direction to the problem all 4 of you have had in the past? Are they being fixed, and are we moving forward?
I hope so.
Yeah, we tweaked the job descriptions. We went over them with the crew and with Bill. And now today, we learned that, the ones that we have tweaked, they have some questions, and we're gonna meet again. But that was one of the reasons we wanted to make sure that there was schedules that the guys knew what was to do each week or each month, what, you know, Danny's working on that. Danny's also said at a board meeting that he's gonna ask, is there any other work that needs to be done that I need to be aware of? He also has just general maintenance that he has to do.
Sure.
And when he's got thrown on a project, that's, you know,
Yep.
things back up. So we're trying to clear that up on both ends.
As far as I know, Rich, Bill and Danny have signed their job descriptions. So,
We have we, go ahead, Rick.
So, I mean, we've been through a lot with this whole personnel policy. It's been very confusing. I don't even know what really is in place or not. I read all the emails, met with Bill the other day when we got the first, revision of it. And then I read Joe's, and the only thing, everything in the whole personnel policy, I'm fine with the changes, the job description. I think it's headed the right direction so that it's clear of what everybody's supposed to be doing. It's been needing to be done for a long time. The last bit of it is this vacation and comp time about notifying Google, whatever. I understand what Joe's saying about micromanaging, I understand what Susan is saying about that Bill and I, as employees, shouldn't be telling you that, well, we're taking this day off, see you later. That it should be approval, because we give approval, or I give approval to Mike and David. So that I should be held to the standard of getting approval too. I don't agree with being the whole board, because it's a small area, you know, and as like I was saying earlier, to Bill or Susan, that, you know, on Wednesday, it might look like a beautiful day, Friday, we got things all taken care of, and I want to take it off. It's no way possible I would get all 5 board members together to get that day off. I mean, this week, the email went around, I gotta have Wednesday off, which just found out today. So if you want approval, I just think it needs to be narrowed down to 1 or 2 people for that. I'm fine with that. But to have the whole board, no. The other problem I have with it is about 2 people being on duty at all time because of safety things. I go out early in the morning a lot of times by myself during mud season. I go at night to the grader by myself and do stuff. I do not think that should be listed in there as 2 on duty because of safety things. You're opening yourself up, or us as employees, to failure. You know, even when all 3 of us are at work, we all 3 of us have 3 separate routes. Technically, we're by ourselves. We don't need a buddy person in the trucks with us. The only thing I've always told the guys on the weekends or nights, if they get called in for a tree down where it involves a chainsaw, I've always said, I don't care if you bring your wife with you, or if you can't get a hold of one of us, I want somebody with you. Just because it is such a bad thing to happen with a chainsaw. Not saying other things can't happen, you know, when you're out just checking roads, but.
But one also, Dave, one person can grade, one person can mow roadside.
Yeah, but also one person could be at work all by himself and do one of them.
Of course,
things too.
yeah.
Do that.
So I just, those are the only 2 things that I have.
We can fix that.
So what you're saying, Danny, is that you're fine with the approval, as long as it's a practical way to do it, not calling all 5
Yes,
board members together.
yes.
And you're also concerned about the practicality of one person working for safety reasons.
Yes, I think one person can be at this job by themselves in the right conditions.
And so I just want to point out that first of all, the reason Kathy and I did not do this revision on our own, we had participated in an executive session. And at the end of the executive session, as required by Vermont statute, the chair stated that the board agreed that the personnel committee will review the personnel policy and bring back to the board. So Kathy and I were fulfilling this part of our responsibility by bringing back these, to review the personnel policy. In the sections that we wrote on both comp time and vacation time, it says the road foreman is accountable for managing the schedule and the workload so that to the greatest extent possible. And I think what these words allow for, Danny, is for you as the supervisor to use your judgment about when these things work and when they don't.
Mhm.
And that is part of what this revision calls for.
Like I said, the only two concerns I had was about how many we had to get approval from for the time off. And I don't like it stated that 2 people on board due to safety. You're setting, if there was only one person off by himself, you're setting us up for failure. We've all been trained in what we do in one form or another. And if you're not comfortable doing it as your sole person out there by yourself, you gotta make that call whether you're gonna deal with it or you're gonna do something different. So I don't think it should be listed in there for safety issues that there's 2 people on duty at all times.
So is it your view that if only one person is working on the highway crew and the other 2 are out on either vacation or comp time, that is not a problem?
It's not, it never has been a problem.
Well, that was one of our concerns.
It was brought to, like I say, for about 10 minutes, so I don't know if it's right or not. It was brought by the board that was a problem. That's why you wrote it down.
Yes, that's right.
So by the emails that have been gone after your revision, we're saying now it's not a problem. So we're okay with moving forward, I guess.
No, I don't think we are okay with moving forward.
No, I mean, by the emails that I had saw,
Yeah,
that it's no longer a problem, that I even heard things like 2 guys are out, one guy sitting up there doesn't know what to do because he's all by himself. Heard comments like that.
Yeah, but that's been corrected because the supervisor would, if Danny was away and Davey was away and Mike was working, Danny, as the supervisor, gives him the orders for what he has to do for the day.
And I'm fine with that.
But that's all in the personnel policy. I mean, that's was all corrected.
Well, I think that's what my email back to you was. Are we happy with, if the job descriptions, are we happy that does that fix all the problems that you, meaning me now too, but that you guys had concerns about? Does that job description fix all those problems? If it does, let's go with either revision. Let's move forward and check it each quarter, or however you set this up, and revise it at the end of the year. We'll see how it all worked out, and tweak if we have to, and whatever.
so it
I think
turns
we've
out.
dragged this dead horse long enough.
It turns out, I mean, Danny's question about confusion. We, as a select board, adopted a personnel policy on 12/20/21. It was announced in the Grafton News by our own board chair that it went into effect on January 1, 2022. One of these proposals is to revise the comp time and the vacation policy per our direction from the executive section. The second, the revision, is pretty much the status quo. Now, if the answer to Rich's question is the status quo is fine with us, we don't have any problems, the problems that we talked about in public meetings, such as, is all the work getting done? Are we having contractors fill in for our own people because our vacation and comp time schedules are not working? Are we working more overtime because we take comp time and vacation time inappropriately? These are problems that we've discussed in public meetings, and
Sure.
if these are no longer problems, then we already have an adopted personnel policy. And then to Rich's point, we can just move on.
So we don't have to do anything, we don't want to.
No, we don't have to do anything. Because essentially Joe and John and Kim and Bill's revisions are the status quo.
This is just a little bit of a hang up maybe, but no reflection upon anybody, by the way. If I was on the personnel committee and I was tasked, maybe I'm putting words in your mouth, and stop me if I am. If I was tasked with the job of putting the revision, then a week later, again, no offense, I see an email put together by Kim, Bill, John, and goes off and says, yeah, that, yours is no good, this one is better. Before we even discuss it in the meeting, I would,
No.
honestly, I would be a little.
Let's stop. This was sent to us, the revisions that they did,
Yeah,
okay? And I looked at them and I gave another opportunity to discuss, that's all it was.
I think he was asked to do that.
Who?
You were asked to change that.
Yeah,
If you had
But-
to
We
change.
asked each board member to put their input.
so I
Before, we gave it to the employees. Right.
I guess my understanding of it was, like I say, I'm not trying to start a fight with nobody. I'm just saying that the way I had processed it was the personnel committee was supposed to present what they had, then would hash it over again and move forward. But
right, and that's what they did, and only thing I did, I gave another opportunity to discuss it, that's it.
Joe, that's not all you did.
That's all I did.
There was in your email,
Yes,
which is a public document,
yes,
I have read the revisions from the committee, and
yes,
I find them okay, but a little confusion and too much detail.
right.
And then it says, I would very much like to approve the policy with the revision on Monday. I have enclosed revisions that John, Kim, Bill, and I wrote in hopes that we can finally approve the personnel policy.
The
We
intent,
had approved a personnel
the
policy.
intention there was, I had no problem with, look, you took it out of context. I was not trying to tell you that we had to approve mine. All I wanted to do is, I wanted to put the personnel policy to sleep. Whether these get changed or you leave it alone, I don't care. I don't want to have another meeting about personnel policy. If you want to change it, we change it. If you want to leave it alone, leave it alone. That's all my memo said. And if you think it's anything else than that, Susan, I'm sorry, you're reading this something that's not right. And I take offense.
Okay. Joe, are you saying that you want to go ahead and approve the personnel policy?
No, I'm not saying that.
It's already.
It's already approved. You want to change it? Change it. I don't want to change it the way you have made it here. I'd like to have it changed the way I made it. Or let's make a compromise and change it, or leave it alone. I don't care. But let's be adults here, and let's understand, if you don't want to make it, you don't want to make it. I mean, that's it.
The facts of the matter are that we had a personnel policy approved and you changed your mind
I didn't change my mind.
about the comp time. You brought that up at the jail.
Yes, and we said, forget it. So don't bring back old stuff, Susan.
No, we then agreed to
You
go.
know,
Listen, I don't want to
I'm sorry,
discuss
No, 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 we are going
This is ridiculous.
yeah,
This is not right here.
let's,
Joe, you're the one who's losing your temper.
No, I'm losing my temper because you're making me, Susan.
Don't make me, don't turn this into.
No, you're putting the knife into me. That's what you're
No,
doing.
I am not. Joe, I am definitely not. We agreed on January 18th to go into an executive session to discuss these matters. We did it. It's not putting a knife into you. It is talking about what actually happened.
That actually happened at the executive session. It was, the executive session was completely illegal.
No, it was not.
Yes, it was, because you discussed what the personnel committee would look like, not what the personnel policy would look like, not the issues that were, once you got through discussing the issues that made you have a certain personnel policy, then you needed to come out of the meeting and discuss what you were gonna make that personnel policy is. If there's two different things, you can talk about negotiations, but once you're done with negotiations, the discussion of the thing has to begin. And I felt that the night that you came out, when you guys said, we haven't resolved on the personnel, you said the very wrong thing. You can go back and listen to the tape. You guys said we disobeyed the rules of a closed meeting because we discussed what was gonna be in the policy. That is a public discussion.
That is totally a public
That
discussion.
it is totally, and you guys didn't do that at that discussion.
No.
Nor did you allow any of us to discuss what you were gonna make that policy meeting. And that's what you were supposed to be doing tonight,
No.
if you were gonna change it.
So I just want to clarify that I hear what you're saying, but we adjourned into executive session by 313A contracts and B labor agreements and D grievances. What we talked about in executive session had to do with those, and especially the evaluations and the grievances, which are protected.
Now you're telling us what you discussed in executive session, which you are not allowed to
No, I am
discuss.
not saying anything. I'm saying what we are allowed to discuss in executive session, and the reason we adjourned in the executive session is what we talked about. But we decided to, as we came out, exactly what Joe said, that we would take the personnel committee to review the personnel policy based on the discussion we had about evaluations and grievances, which we are not divulging the details of in this meeting.
Again, do we think this problem has been semi-fixed? And are we gonna stay with the personnel policy that is in place right now? And Joe's gonna move.
Well, I have no problem with the personal policy as it is, personally.
Then I move that we don't even have to have a motion.
We don't. I don't believe, right, Joe?
No, because there's no motion on the floor.
Okay, so I think what we're ready to do then is to adopt is to sign the personnel policy the way it is right now.
That's fine.
Okay? So here it
Yes,
is.
I'm so confused, but it don't take much.
So what are you confused about? Rick?
No, no, I'm not rehashing anything. I've said enough for one evening.
I would like you guys to either tell us to adopt or not, so we could read through it all, because we as employees at the highway department are really confused what one it all is, because we had so many different ones there going that we just do them out and said, when you guys finally get done, you hand us one and we'll read it. It's been very confusing of what it is. I would love to see you guys just vote on one of the versions and try it for a quarter. And if there's still a problem, because it sounds like there's a whole lot more problems in there that I'm not aware of, and revisit them. It's making a mess between employees and everything with this just going on and on every meeting. It'd be nice just to close it down and go for a quarter, even if it's just a quarter, and if there's still issues with it, revisit it then.
It's very clear we adopted the policy on 12/20. There is no confusion about that. I'm sorry it has come across as confusing. In the minutes of the 12/20 meeting, it says adoption of the revised personnel policy. The revision was from 80 to 120 hours with no replenishment. The select board turned to the adoption of the policy. I moved to adopt it. Kathy seconded it. The motion was passed 4-1 with John Gregory voting against the motion.
So now, basically,
then-
it's at the point where the employees all receive one, and we
That's
sign it
correct.
stating that we have read
That
it.
is correct.
And
And in the
that would be-
Grafton News, it
Perfect.
was said at the recent board meeting, the policy was approved and will go into effect on January 1, 2022. The policy was called into question when, on January 3rd, the chair wanted to revisit the 120 hours and the 80 hours. And that's when we said that we needed to go into executive.
No, I withdrew my motion.
session.
That was not the reason to go into executive session. I withdrew my motion
Yeah.
on that, at that meeting. I did not say anything about going into executive session.
Let's move
No,
on.
we didn't. That was Rich's, and we all agreed to do that.
let's move forward.
Let's set the record straight. I did not say that.
You said you would rather have had the 80, or I forgot, like.
I went through the motion.
Right.
Like, but I didn't say anything about executive session.
No.
No, that is
Let me
good.
finish.
Okay, but you implied it was me.
No, it was me. It was me. Because I wanted more clarity, because, again, being a new guy on the block, you guys gotta bring me up to speed, because I had absolutely no idea what's going on here, and that's why I asked for the executive.
Can we move on?
Definitely.
So I think what we need to do is go ahead and sign.
Okay,
this
so we can
policy.
go on and sign. I mean, everybody can sign it. Buildings committee? Kathy?
We have, Kathy, you want to?
We did a walkthrough with, the engineer and the designer last Wednesday. And, he pointed out some of the things we need to do first. I don't have any notes in front of me. Bill, do you have the notes that we did?
I have them downstairs, I don't have them here.
Yeah. And both were, very knowledgeable. They enjoyed, doing the walkthrough. We went down cellar. We went through the stairway. We went through each area that has to be looked at. We managed to get Michael Rodriguez as the general contractor to come in. He's going to just open up some areas in the floor over there to see what's beneath before they do the construction. The electrician that we have, and needs to be really specific as to how much power we're going to need in order for the heat pumps and for the elevator. Also, the plumber for the heat pumps. So I know, Bill, you've been in touch with those folks. And he gave us, I asked for a timeline, and he gave us a timeline. And hopefully construction, or by April 15th, they do the bids on the 18th, and they would award the bids. And the construction will depend upon the contractor availability. And are we certain about Mike being the general contractor?
No, all we're having Mike do, Mike is not,
Mike was just gonna do that.
all he's gonna do is open the floor, open the ceiling. Let me just go back to that. Those three persons that he would like to come work here, and this is Chris Cole, the engineer who's gonna be running the project. He wants 3 people. It probably altogether will be way less than $5,000 for what we're asking them to do. We want somebody to open the floor and open the ceiling. That's what Mike Rodriguez is doing. He's available immediately, other people are not. The electrician, I haven't got an electrician yet to do it. It needs to be a licensed electrician. Chris Cole, again, will give that person exactly what they need to do. I can only say, with my limited knowledge, but this is not going to be all of it, that he will check the amperage to make sure the amperage that we have in this building for everything we need to do, including the elevator, is enough. If it is not, Chris Cole would like him or her, that electrician, to then do the work so that it is done now to bring the building up to the amperage that is needed. Gus Plummer says we will probably need to go to 200 amps, but he is not a master licensed electrician, so he cannot do the work. I've asked other people that they have, okay, but anyway, we need to talk to the electrician. And the other person is James and James, and I can't get him back to me. So if anybody knows a plumber, we need to move that heater out of the way, and we need to move the heater downstairs out of the way. I will try to get back to James and James tomorrow and have them talk to Chris Cole. It probably needs to be done sometime before the end of, before the middle of March. However, as long as Chris knows that it's going to be done, he can probably then put out the contract. The whole idea is when they put out the contract to bid, the only thing that they'll be bidding on is putting the elevator in with all the work that needs to be done. He'll have the ceiling open and know what's needed in the ceiling. We'll have the floor open and we know what's needed in the floor, if anything. And he'll have the amperage and he'll have everything else, so that the problem, if you don't do all of that, everything that you contract for is by allowance, and everything the general contractor putting the elevator in will do is every time he sees something needs to be changed, he's going to pull out his pad and say, it'll be this much to do that because that wasn't in my contract. His whole idea is not have any of that by having these three people work on it. If the select board wants to, it has a problem with us finding these people and just dealing with them because it's all less than $5,000, then let me know now so that we can stop doing this and we can go back to a bid procedure, which will delay the whole thing, but if that's what you want, you guys are in charge. I told him what we would do is try to find those people unless you told us different.
Bill, I emailed Warren Beatty, he's a licensed electrician. He's coming out to my building tomorrow. I asked him if he's interested, let me know, and to come and see you in the morning, and you could then describe to him or send him to Mr. Cole, and if he's interested, then you'll have an electrician. If not, you'll have to find somebody else.
Okay.
I only use coder and coder, but I don't think you want to use that.
It may not, because do we have their fuel?
No, you don't, so I wouldn't use that.
That's what we talked
Yeah.
about. changing
I know, I just contacted HB Electric for the shop issues, the fan and other stuff, they found other things. But they were really fast about getting back to me.
Are they plumbers?
They do pretty much everything. It's like a one-stop shop. But they were really good getting back to me with the stuff up there.
Okay.
Again, these people are just doing preliminary work, it's not part of the contract.
Right.
And I just want to add, some of the frosting on the cake might be, but we don't know, is when they rip up that part of the floor. We kind of looked at this floor, if it needed any refinishing. And also they have to do some work downstairs for the door, the outside door. And we looked at the floor thinking, well, maybe that piece of floor might need some work too, so. But that's kind of the frosting stuff.
There's always a problem whenever you open something up.
But it was a great meeting. I mean, they were clear, they were here, what, an hour and a half or more, or maybe 2 hours, and sat down and talked it out, so. It's good.
And I'm assuming the heat pumps are still not coming.
He's coming, but
Yeah.
I thought he'd be here this week. He isn't. Yeah. And I'd like to get the electrician and the plumber's names to Chris before Wednesday night, because I'm gone Thursday. So I'm gonna try to.
The only thing I can do is, Warren will be here in town. If he's interested, I'll have him come see you. If he's not interested, then you need to find another electrician.
Yeah, okay, so.
Warren has done work in town, he's worked for John and other people, so I mean, he's a competent electrician, so. I just don't know his schedule, I don't know what he can and cannot do. Wastewater committee, everything's been filed, and, so it's up to them. They're gonna have the bid process, the memo said that they're going to let us know sooner or later who's gonna get the bid. Did you get the memo from?
She's got to prepare that bid. Yeah,
Right.
if we're gonna get the grant, that's supposed to come from her.
Right, yeah.
Not her then.
So. John, I know you're not going to sign this.
Let me be clear, that's from Lynette Collins, but I haven't heard it.
Any other business?
Yes.
Go ahead.
First of all, Kim has been dealing with an investment with the trustee of public funds for about 9 months, trying to get these people to accept her signature in order to agree to this reverse split of stock that happened in one of our holdings of the trustee of public funds forever. And they finally asked for a statement. So I have written a statement saying that you guys are telling them that she really is the trustee of public funds elected last year and for a 3-year term. And it is really her that is going to do that. We're hoping that this works. It may not, and we may have to fill out some more paperwork, but it's very frustrating dealing with this. But this needs to be signed by each of you, and then Michelle Dolph will certify in the morning that you guys are the select board. And then the other thing that goes with this is the results of the election last year showing that she was elected. So if you would all sign that before you go. And the other thing I have is just Valley Crane, which is part of the Renault operation, but it's just the crane part of it is a overweight permit, which I would like to sign. So if I get a motion approving the overweight permit and allowing me to sign it.
Okay, somebody want to make a motion to approve the overweight permit and have Bill sign it?
So what is the overweight permit? This one, Bill, could you just?
It's
give
for
us
Valley
the
Crane.
detail?
For Valley Crane Services Inc.
And where are they working? What are they doing?
Well, whenever they come through town, they need a
I
permit.
see.
Yeah, so we get like 40 or 50 of them, and it's just, if they come to town, then they have a permit.
Do we have a motion? Do we have a motion on the floor? Do we have a second?
Yeah, I said so.
There's a second. Second. Okay. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, Bill. Do you have any other business?
I have a couple things, Joe.
Go ahead, Dan.
So under the buildings, as I said, I had HP come to fix the fan, and they found the CO, I think that's their monitors that pick up exhaust from the vehicles, are supposed to be changed every 5 years, so they're outdated. So I told them that whatever keeps the building in the code is fixed. They haven't come back to do that. The one highlight that's out, they said they couldn't really do anything right now because they don't have a lift truck to get up that high. I said that wasn't really that important, but whenever they do get one fixed, to do that. And the other thing I missed under the highway was salt. I know in the beginning of the year, I told you guys how Barrett salt was 73 and Appalachia was 92. I have bought the one load so far from Appalachia because the quality of salt from Barrett's is just not there. We're using a lot more than we did when we had the other salt. It is $19 a ton more, but I just doing the math that we're using more in product than what we're saving by going with the higher price stuff. I'm hoping that we won't be buying hardly anymore, but we've been using a lot of salt per storm, and it's to do with the quality of the salt. The salt that we've been getting is very high in moisture. And I mean, the stuff is coming through, we're getting chunks in it when they dump it off this big that we gotta break up with a loader. The more you work the salt, the finer you make it, the worse the salt. It just doesn't work. It's just like spreading powder. So
Cheaper salt?
it is cheaper by $19 a ton, but it's cheaper for a reason. I mean, it's close, and the trucking is what's killing the other company. Like I said, I hope that we're not going to be buying much more for this winter because we got quite a bit to shed. Just to let you aware that, you know, if you do see it, you're going to see Appalachia's invoices for salt instead of Barrett that we started with.
Okay.
Any other business? Any public comment? All right, the next regular meeting will be Monday, the 21st, February 21st. 6 p.m. here. A motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye. Okay, thank you, everybody.